You know, when you think about Netflix, the story everyone goes to is how they crushed Blockbuster. But honestly, that's just chapter one. The real story, the one that completely reshaped entertainment as we know it, is how Netflix built this repeatable formula for reinvention. So let's dive in and really decode that playbook.
I mean, it all really starts with this incredible journey, right? From a simple red envelope that totally changed how we watch movies at home to a digital interface that's on billions of screens around the world. And this wasn't an accident. This was a deliberate, kind of brutal, but absolutely brilliant strategy.
So that's the real question, isn't it? It's not just about one smart move or one brilliant pivot. It's about a company culture that's built to repeatedly tear down its own success just to build something even bigger. And it really all boils down to one core idea.
And that big idea is something called creative destruction. Yeah, it sounds super dramatic, but it's really just a powerful way of saying you have to be willing to kill your darlings. For Netflix, that meant being brave enough to destroy its own super profitable DVD business to build a streaming empire, and then doing it all over again.
All right, so let's rewind and go back to the beginning. To win that first big war against Blockbuster, Netflix didn't just have a better product. They had a fundamentally better understanding of their rival's biggest weakness.
Get this, $600 million. That's how much Blockbuster was raking in every single year just from late fees. Their entire business model, it was literally built on making customers frustrated. That was their cash cow, and Netflix saw it for what it was, a fatal flaw.
So you had these two strategies that were just polar opposites. Blockbuster was all about physical stores and those hated fees. Netflix just completely flipped the script. Flat monthly fee, zero late fees, and, this is the key, data. They weren't just mailing out DVDs, they were quietly building a massive database of what everyone liked to watch.
Okay, and this is where the real genius was. That queue, the one where you'd list your movies, it wasn't just a mailing list. It was an incredibly powerful analytical tool. It let Netflix predict what you wanted, gently steer you toward older titles in their library, and avoid that classic Blockbuster problem of everyone wanting the same new movie at once. They basically turned a massive logistical headache into a strategic weapon. So smart.
Okay, so Netflix wins the DVD war. They're sitting on top of the world. And what do? They light a match and set fire to their own winning formula. This was, without a doubt, their riskiest bet ever. They decided to eat their own cash cow to jump headfirst into the shaky, uncertain world of streaming.
And this quote right here, from back in 2011, this was the moment of truth. Reed Hastings announced they were splitting the company, creating this whole new service called Quickster just for DVDs. And oh, by the way, it effectively doubled the price for anyone who wanted both. The public, well, they were not happy.
Yeah, not happy is a bit of an understatement. The market totally panicked. Their stock price just plummeted, down 75%. Hundreds of thousands of subscribers bailed. Honestly, from the outside, it looked like a catastrophic company-ending mistake. But, and this is the really crucial part, their long-term vision, the idea that the future was going to be 100% streaming, that was dead on. The execution, the whole Quickster thing, was a total disaster, a failure in communicating with their customers. But it was a painful, totally necessary lesson that kind of dragged the company and us kicking and screaming into the digital future.
So after surviving that near-death experience, Netflix moves into its third big phase. They realized, just being a distributor isn't enough. If they wanted to really dominate, they had to build a fortress of their own content.
And boy, did they put their money where their mouth was. Just look at this growth. From a little over $2 billion back in 2013, which was the year House of Cards came out, to nearly $18 billion a decade later. This wasn't just them throwing money around. It was a massive, strategic investment to completely change the company's DNA.
And the math behind all this spending? It's pretty compelling. Basically, analysis shows that when you own your own content, you get about a 25% higher return on investment compared to just licensing somebody else's stuff. Every dollar they spent on an original show wasn't just an expense, it was an investment in an asset they'd own forever.
This right here is what the experts call an IP moat. By owning its own shows, its own movies, Netflix didn't have to rely on its rivals anymore. Rivals who, by the way, were starting their own streaming services. It turned spending into real assets, built a brand that people were willing to pay for, and it gave them the power to raise prices because, hey, they had stuff you just couldn't get anywhere else.
And that brings us pretty much to today. The streaming world is a mess. It's crowded, it's fragmented, and guess what? Once again, Netflix is positioning itself not as part of the problem, but as the solution. This is their next big move.
I mean, we all feel this, don't we? Streaming fatigue, that feeling of just annoyance, juggling 5 different services, trying to remember where that one show is, and just watching your credit card bill go up and up. This chaos, that's the new problem in the market.
You see, for years, all the big studios built these walled gardens, right? Pulling all their content onto their own platforms. But that's starting to change. Big deals like Warner Bros. Discovery licensing shows back to Netflix signal a kind of truce. Rivals are starting to realize that making money now is more important than fighting over exclusivity. The big ideological war is kind of over.
So, what's the new strategy? It's pretty simple, actually. Be the one-stop shop. License the hits from your rivals, stick them right next to your own huge library of originals, and become the one service people feel they can't live without. See, in a market like this, the goal isn't just about getting new customers. It's about stopping the ones you have from leaving. And the absolute best way to do that? Have everything.
So this whole strategy really depends on 2 types of content working together, hand in hand. You've got your owned originals. Those are for getting new subscribers and building up that IP mode, giving you that sweet 25% higher ROI. And then you've got the licensed content. That's for keeping people from leaving, reducing churn, and just making the library feel huge. It's like one builds the fortress and the other one keeps everyone inside the walls happy.
So, when you step back and look at the whole journey, you just see this pattern repeating over and over. Back in '98, they used data to disrupt retail video. Then in '07, they disrupted their own business to pivot to streaming. In 2013, they disrupted the whole idea of distribution by becoming a creator. And today, they're disrupting this messy, fragmented streaming market by basically becoming the great unifier.
Which leaves us with one last, kind of provocative thought to chew on. After fighting for decades against the old guard, against the cable bundle, could Netflix's final act, its ultimate destiny, be to become the new, smarter, global version of the very thing it killed? You know, the one essential bundle that you just can't live without.